Hello, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new on my platform, welcome to my channel. So I'm going to be showing you how I actually made this prototype on Figma. The first time I actually made this prototype was sometime last year, and I shared this on LinkedIn. A lot of people actually wanted to get hands on the prototype and just a video of how this was actually made, and I promise that I'm going to definitely make a tutorial on how I created this in Figma. I think this is my highest performing post of all time. It actually got about 22,000 reactions on LinkedIn. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, my name is Kingsley Orji, and if you want to follow me on X, my name is Design with Kings. You can also find me on TikTok, Design with Kingsley. Actually, it's a new account and I've not started promoting it. And you can also find me on Instagram with Design with Kingsley. Let's be friends, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and be rest assured that I'm going to up to your game when it comes to Figma prototype. So now let's jump on the tutorial. So here is the original file for this prototype, and I'm going to be recreating it and show you how that was actually animated. This is the images that I'm going to be using. So we're going to be placing some of the images that I'll be creating side by side so we can actually run fast. The first thing I'm going to do is just to duplicate this one, and we're going to have it here. So once I have this here, this is the main image I'm going to be using. I'm just going to switch. Okay, this is iPhone 14 Pro Max. So I'm going to set my frame to iPhone 14 Pro Max. So here you go. I think the time I designed it, Figma haven't actually brought out the iPhone 14 and 15 Pro Max. They've not really combined it, but here they had it separate. I'm going to move this inside this. So this is iPhone Pro. Oh, sorry, this is Pro, not Pro Max. So I'm just going to pick Pro Max. Yep, much better. So once I have this here, I'm just going to push it up, and I'm going to set it back. I'm going to copy the status bar and paste here. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to pick this color. So set the color picker. We're not going to be using variable on this one. So I'm going to just write this: enjoy your cravings. Enjoy your craving. We'll put it here, and we'll duplicate this and bring it down. Now we're going to step down the text to, yep, let's use this. I think I've already set up variable on this. I like using variables, so we're going to use every bit of it is worth the sip any day. So we have this text that's right below this. I'm just going to pick this and this. I'm going to pick these two text and add auto layout. Now it's left for this button. So we're just going to, I'm going to show you how I did that. Register or login. So once I have the text typed, I'm just going to duplicate it, auto layout to it. So set this to be button. So I wouldn't be going too much into details on how to create a button on Figma. I'm just going to make a separate tutorial on that because I have intentions of making video tutorial on creating interactive micro interactions of a full Figma component library. So everything that you have on your component library, I'm going to show you how you can actually make it interactive in Figma, so you don't just create a very boring design system. You're going to create a functional design system. So if you know what I mean, so which means every button you have, every input system you have, inputs whatever you have dialogue is going to be animated. That's what it means. So it's a very huge work, but make sure to stick around my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to get me going. Now I'm just going to set this to white. So once I have that, move it inside here. Now we're going to set the corner radius to be 10, and once that is done, we just adjust this, and I'm going to center it. Then this kind of stays here. We're going to treat this later. So for this one, continue as guest. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to bring this out. So we're going to make it a component. So here we'll call this button, and here we'll also call this button. So we can actually reuse it. And for this one, we're going to have another button, which is going to, this one is going to be yellow. So I don't have any yellow stuff, so I'm just going to tag it and add this one. Then if you click on this yellow, we're going to set the present state, because that is the tool that we'll be using, and we can also set the present state of this one to this. So here we have this. So if we go to prototype and link this to this one, and we'll just tell this while pressing instant, and this one we also link it to this one and say while pressing. So pretty much right, easy. So once you're done, you just set this to button, get this to be white button, and get this to be white button pressing. This is yellow, then this is yellow button pressing. Now once we have that, I'm just going to hold my option button and bring this out, or you can hold your alternate button to bring it out, push it out if you're using Windows. So once I do that, I'm going to duplicate this one and change it to yellow. So here we have this continue as guest. Then this would be register or login. So now for this and this, I'm going to add auto layout together, then find this. It's time to reduce this guy. So we're going to hover over this, select this and hover over it. Look at it here. So select it and add auto layouts for both of them. Now we're going to give it a gap, just a space between both of them. And once we have that, we can actually preview this to see the effect of the button that we just created. So I'm just going to show you guys. So you see, when you're clicking on it, it's bringing out the second button. The same thing with this one. So that's just pretty much how we design it. So basically now we want to prioritize the register. Oh, this is register. So I'm going to change it to register or login. So we're prioritizing this because we want to encourage users to register or log in to have an account. And while we actually made this just a simple text, is because we want to actually discourage users from continuing as guests. Yeah, we want to record the sales, but we also want to have the data of some of these users. So when you are designing some products and all that, you don't prioritize this over this one. So you prioritize this over this. That's just it. So at the end of the day, if you hear that, oh, when I joined as a UX designer, I increased the user retention rate from 40% to like 65%, or sign up rates, I increased it from 20% to maybe 35%. This might just be the way they actually did it, because they prioritize some of the things that actually encourages users to register on the platform than things that actually lets them to just use the app and just bounce off. No. So here is the splash screen, just the screen that you see. So we're just going to push this one here. Now we're done with this, we're just going to delete it. This is what we're going to be using a splash. So the next screen to design is this one. So I'm just going to duplicate it and bring it right here. So we're going to have this, I'm just going to have it here and set it here. So I'm going to show you how I actually did this. So what I did was to get some of these icons from Iconify. You can get these icons from Iconify. You type home, type T, type O, or you type maybe analytics. That's how you are going to get some of these things. So on the meantime, I'm just going to pull it out, duplicate it, sorry, and bring this out. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to bring out the icon because I want to run fast. Then lastly, this one. So we're going to also bring out the text. So I'm just going to keep this one. So here is just a normal text. So here I'll call these orders, and this one should be saved. This one should be updates, and this is menu. So we can actually select everything and use the suggest auto layouts, and it works the magic for us. So now it's pretty much very fast to do. So you see this one, you know, the layout, this is not 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 the layout. So here I'm going to just simply look at this. It kind of stretched and we don't want it to stretch, so this is at 28, we just set it to 24. Yeah, we'll fix that, find another one. I think we're pretty much good. And the next thing we're going to do is to add 20. And yeah, so I think this is also stretched. We can set this to 24 and leave this at 24. Fixed, make sure it's on fixed. So once we have this, make sure this is in the center and this is on the center. Just select everything inside and centralize it. Now that we have this is kind of mixed, so we're going to give that spacing, I'm going to set it to 10. I think 10 is pretty much too much. We use 5, so yeah, better. So now I'm going to set this to 20, and for some obvious reasons I think the auto layouts set this to fill, so we're going to go back again. The suggest auto layout sets this to fill. Look at it here. So we're going to set this to fixed. Everything here, this one is fixed, this one is fixed, so this one is fixed. So if you're trying to use suggest auto layouts, it might be very tricky, because if you don't understand the logic behind the fill, fixed, and borg, it might be a very difficult nut for you to crack. So you need to understand when to make it fixed, you need to understand when to make it fill, you also need to understand when to set it to org content, and you also need to know when to set the minimum weight and the maximum weight, or minimum height or the maximum height. So all these things are just something you need to actually get yourself wrapped up, understand these things before you can actually use suggest auto layouts. It doesn't work 100% the way you want it to work in your head. That's the reason why you need to stick around in my channel. I'm going to be dishing out a lot of stuff, practical terms on how you can actually use Figma and how you can design Figma. So when we are done with some of the prototyping videos, a lot of people have been asking for the tutorial, then I will now gradually teach you how you can build a product from A to Z. So we're going to start from the research phase, do the ideation, do the crazy 8, and do the how might we in a session. We're going to brainstorm, and I'm going to teach you how to do all of these things right here on this channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and follow for more. Follow me on across all the social platforms, because every day I dish out tips on how you can actually stay afloat or advance your career as a UI and UX designer. So we live to learn every day. So while I continue, I'm just going to set this to I'm going to now give it a padding of 20 that I've been willing to give it. So here I'm going to set this to org, and you see that stuff that I was telling you know when to set to org and all those stuff. So here we can actually set this to 20. Now this is where it becomes tricky. We now need to set this to fill, right? So that when we drag this, everything gets aligned. So when it's filled, it actually takes the length, it moves along with no matter how much you stretch it, it's going to move with it. So here I'm going to now give it a fill. Now this fill, I'm going to set this to 80% because I want it to be blurry, to have a blurry background. And once we have that set, I'm going to push this up and set this to automatic. So here we have 20 and I'm going to set this to 10 because we already have enough padding inside this place. So because this is up, I'm going to set the padding top to be 15 and just 10 because we need to give space for enough space below. So because we are on the menu, we are going to, so I need to do this. So there's two ways to go around this because I want this to actually move. I'm going to use a rectangle. So set this to 3, then give it yellow. I'm going to set it to yellow. Then once that is done, I'm going to bring it inside here. So now that is inside, make it absolute and we just hang it right on top. So now what I encourage us to also do is look at what happens if I move this. It's not going to move along, it's just going to stick there. So you're going to do one thing, select this and give it this align right or top. Make sure it's aligned properly. So when you align it left and you align it on the top, now you can actually place it where you want it to be. So do this first so that when you actually stretch this, it kind of follows it. That's the trick. Now you've learned a new thing, right? Stick around. So hence you shouldn't jump any of this video. I know you're so eager to get to the prototyping aspect. So once we have this, the width of this is 430. Yeah, correct. 430. So we're going to set this to 430. And because this is on fill, that's why it's missing the positioning. And we are going to just place it right. Then this should be yellow. I can't remember the last time I actually used the color picker to design. I normally use, I think I need to actually set the variable of that color. So what I'm going to do now is to open this, go to this plus icon. This is variable. I'm going to leave it at colors, then just set this to yellow so it will be easier for us. Not every time we are picking colors. So now I'm going to move this inside, align it, get this out. We're going to turn this to white. So look at it here. So give it a stroke of do we have stroke here? We have this, and our 100 seems to be very thick, so I'm just going to unclip it, then reduce. If I get the perfect color that I need, I can now come here and say gray 75. So I'm just going to use gray 75, so it will be between 50 and 100. Once we've done that, I'm just going to add a drop shadow. So drop shadow, you can also set this as styles so that you can actually reuse it. So what we are going to do is to set this as a style. You can actually add it on your variable, but I prefer to set this shadow as style. So this is the previous one that I actually set. I'm going to adjust it. I think is cool and good to go. Let's see how thick it can get. So select here and say drop shadow, and it doesn't work. So I'm just going to go with this one, say 7 and say 20. So you see this small light shadow effect coming out. So I think it's pretty much very thick. I'm just going to set it to 5%. So we're done with this. I'm just going to get rid of it. Now, how did I design this? I'm just going to copy this menu and put here. Literally, we don't need to do that. Then showing you guys how to put icon. I'm going to set this and add auto layouts. So here I'm going to drag this and this. I normally use I'm going to set this to 24. So I normally use Iconify and Feather Icon for my icons. So I'm going to set this to 2 so it will be bold enough. So once that is done, get this guy. So we're going to get this guy. We're going to redesign this. So these are some of the images that I used. Bring these out, bring these out, bring these out, and we're also going to bring this out. So there is more to it. We have this one, then this. So once we're done, we're just going to position it right. So we're going to actually recreate this. So to do that, I'm just going to bring out this text, put it here, and this milkshake. This we can actually just go to Feather Icon and get it. So once we have these two, just add auto layout. Then with this, I'm going to reduce it a bit. So with this, I'm just going to select and add auto layout. So now this is kind of not fitting well, so I'm just going to go back. So remove this, get this guy out. I'm going to select everything properly and add auto layout. See it? So now it's properly aligned. So for this one, I'm just going to put it right here and make it absolute. Absolute, bring it down and assign to the left. So once that is done, we can just give 20 as padding. And remember, this is actually floating. So what we're going to do is to So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make this absolute. Then this can actually be readjusted very well. Remember to fill this, set this to 10, and now we can do the proper adjustments. So for this, we are going to move this, give it a padding of 118, and this one stays right here. Then this fork stays right here. So once we are done, we're just going to check, and I think it's much more than. So yep. So we're going to just add a stroke. So this could be 20 and this is 5. So you see how we have it. So to lighten things up, I'm just going to add a stroke of 50. Yeah. So that's how I actually created this. So you can actually move things around. And to add this stuff, this shadow, this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to select Eclipse and put it right here. Now you also make the eclipse, set it below, align left, then you place it right below this one, take it to the back. You can simply do that when you're done, because this is big, so we can actually extend this. So you can either do this, move, bring to front, send to back. So if you press this, it goes to the back. If you do this, it brings it to the front on your keyboard. So I'm going to press it on my keyboard and come here, then set linear, come here and set radial. So this one I'm going to just say white, and this we are going to just, I think I need to just tag it to my variable, and this we tie to white. So once we have this, I'm just going to push it to so that's it. So it now looking as if it's sitting on something. So once we have that, I'm just going to duplicate this, duplicate. So select these three, select it, and add auto layout. So once you've done that, just make sure this is properly aligned, and once that is done, make sure to pull this to the very point where you're comfortable with it. Then we are going to now add auto layout. So set this to hog content and make sure it's at the back. So for this, we also need to do something on this 80% effect. So we're going to add this and set this to background blur. Then background blur, will set it to 20, and now it's looking as if it's just glass. And it's time to move things around, to move this guy. So this one, this image was actually gotten from Pinterest, and once you just get it, you can actually type anything and get the result you need. So I'm just going to copy this one and to show you. So once I'm here, I'm just going to paste it here, then use this plugin to remove background. So saved icon 8 background remover, we're going to remove background. So instead of using this, we're going to use this pizza. Right, so now it's time to scale this down, then delete this, and we are going to just make it absolute. Align this to the left, and you can just increase it. So that's how this was actually done in Figma. So I'm just going to remove this one, then bring back the one we were using before. So just so, because it can enter, what I'm going to do is to paste it inside, then make it absolute, set it to the left, then place it properly. So because we want to actually maintain the same padding, I'm going to select everything here and increase this padding to 125 or even 130, much better. So I have this like this, and I'm going to also do the same thing for this. So remember what I said on one of my videos, that if you want to move this thing inside, you might reconsider making it the same height with this one. That's the only way it can move in, but if it's bigger than what you're trying to move it into, it will not enter. So I'm just going to scale this up a bit and make it absolute. So for some obvious reasons, I'm going to also leave this thing in fractions because I'm trying to work so fast, but ideally it's not good to leave some of your stuff in fractions. Sample 115.69. No, so it should just be a whole number. So the last we're going to do is to just copy this, paste it here, make absolute, set to left, delete this guy, and we can now position it right. So that's how I actually design that in Figma. So the next thing we are going to do is to show you the transition. So we're going to duplicate this one, and for this guy we're going to open it up. Now you see this is not inside any frame, so we're going to delete this and fix this, copy and delete, then paste it inside. Now we're going to align it properly, make sure to not move it off the frame. So here we can duplicate this, and now move things out like this. So if you look at this stuff, when I click here, you see the way this comes up. That's what I'm trying to achieve now. So have this completely off the screen. So this would be what we're supposed to do is to actually do this. So this is what you're supposed to do. This one is going to be off the screen as well. Then we're going to select everything here and add auto layout. So we'll call this, move this guy up. So we'll call this container and make sure to set it to white and let it flush here. So here we are free to duplicate it. So for this part, for this one, what we'll do is just to increase this and push this one off the screen too. So when we move, what we're going to have is this one. So now if I click this, come to prototype, set this to on tap, we're going to use how did the behavior go. So I'm just going to, so when I tap this, it comes in. Okay, yeah. So we use the moving. So on tap, move in. Look at it, move in. Then we're going to animate matching layers, and we're not going to use easing, so I'm just going to use slow and set this slow to 300. Right, so now I'm going to now say after delay, set this to after delay of 1 millisecond because we want it to happen very fast. So I'm going to set this to 750. Slow, not moving again. I'm going to say smart animate 750. Just set it to 700. So this is what we are going to have. So if I preview this, and when I click on this, so this comes in. So that's what I'm trying to kind of achieve. So for this, we might want to check the prototype on this. So we just unclip this, say animate matching layers. So when we click on this, it comes in like this. So that's it. But if you click on this animate matching layers, look at what happens. Just going to restart. So you get this yellow stuff on top because this background is not yellow and this one is yellow. So we're just going to just so we can have a smooth animation. But ideally this is not supposed to move. This status bar is not supposed to move. So the only way to do that is to click on animate matching layers. So that's it for this screen. So the next screen we're going to do is to there's one thing we didn't do here. We did not pull up this footer. So I'm just going to find it here. So look at it here. So here we're going to pull it up, or we just set it to this place, bring it to the front. So now if we kind of review this, so you see, so this one also comes in at once. So here we're going to continue with this one. So when we click, we'll get this one. So I'm going to recreate this, copy and paste. So we're going to be recreating this screen. So it's time to get another frame, 1415 Pro Max. Get it here. We'll call this menu, and we also call this just milkshake. So to continue, we're going to set this plus icon we already have. So set this here, and the next one is link this and this. So once we have everything here, we will just move this one a bit and scale this down a bit. send it to back, select this one, scale it down a bit, send it to back, and have it here. So this is going to just position right. Now the next thing we are going to do is to make sure to copy this and paste here. So the next thing we're going to do now is to set this guy. I'm going to show you how. Let's just do this one first. So the same way we actually did that, the other one, send it to the back. Ideally, the best thing to do is to actually do everything at once. So we have this like this, come to this place, linear, set this to radial, set this to white, then set this one to something like this. So once you have this, you just frame selection. So at the end of the day, I'm just going to duplicate this one and bring it out. We have something that looks like this. So you may also need to reconsider positioning this properly, and this one should be fully, I think the white should be 0. I'm going to unclip this. Yep. Then this. So we set it to the back. It stays like this. Perfect. So once we have this, we can actually bring it out. Then the next thing we're going to do is to get this and duplicate it. Bring it here. I'm going to just delete this. Select this and frame it. Duplicate. Select this and frame selection. So once you're done with the selection, you can just move it inside. Send to the back. Make sure none of them is inside each other's frame. Otherwise, you're not going to get the desired animation. So we have it this way. Now the next thing is to just add this plus. So I'm going to just go ahead and pull out plus for the sake of people that are just starting off. There's one thing I also always say, that my videos are not beginners friendly. So set this to frame and add auto layouts. Then we're going to set this to 20 and this to 20. Add white, full corner radius 60. And this we can actually clip this and just set it to 32. Then this we just move it right inside. Now you see it's entering inside this frame and I don't want it. So what I want to do is just to let it be on this frame. So what I'm going to do now is to just pull it here and set it to the right. So we're going to gradually move it and let it stay here. So we're going to add a drop shadow, 10, 20. Set this to 15 and set this to 15. So we have it like this, and here we are with our arrangement. So the next thing we are going to do is to set this caramel. I'm going to also get this, copy and paste. So make sure this is 430. So right here we have an arrow, so I'm going to go and get this arrow. So I'm going to use this type instead. So move it inside here, then get rid of this. So the next thing we're going to do is to actually combine this caramel and this one. So bring it out. So there's something I want you to do. Set these two guys to auto layout. Now what we're going to do is to, because there is this effect that actually happens, look at it. When I click on milkshake, look at this. If I drag this, the next one is actually coming. Look at it. The next text is actually coming while the other one is actually moving out. So the best way to do that is to let's set this right first. Let's get it right. So the price is another thing. So we'll have the price. I'm going to duplicate this and bring it out. So detach instance, and it's time to ungroup. So you see all the cars that I have in there. So what you're going to do, because it rows, look at it, these rows, you see. So what you're going to do is to type these numbers and stack it up like this. Now once you stack it up, you just select all of them and add auto layout. You can actually align things properly and select this and not just move it to the right, left. So everything is now left aligned. Now just close this up. You can also select, and we can just set this to here. So once that is done, we can now clip content. So you have this one, we just call it numbers. For this, I'm going to show you how you're going to do it. It's supposed to be aligned horizontally, but the next one is actually glowing up. So to tackle that, I'm just going to open this, bring this out. So we're going to take all of this, duplicate and bring out, because I don't want to retype it. Bring it out. Then strawberry. So I'm just going to now select everything and suggest auto layout, so it just works it at once for you. So you see, the suggest auto layout is such an idiot. I'm just going to ungroup it. I'll just remove all auto layouts. Just ungroup and ungroup. Ungroup again. Ungroup. So once we have this is salted caramel, this is peanuts, this one is already here. Select this and add auto layout. Select this. So this actually went haywire, so we just have to close it up. So select this and add auto layouts. Add auto layouts. Add auto layouts. Then add auto layouts. Now we're going to select everything and make sure that it's even out. So here we just set this to 10, and we can now add auto layout. So you see this, I'll just left align. So everything is now properly set. You can open it up a bit, and now I can close it. Let's call this text, then clip. Bring it right here. Yeah, we're good to go. So once you have this one here, we're going to duplicate and get the next one here. So this is the next one that should come in. So we're practically going to pick this, duplicate, and bring it here. And frame it. So for this, we're going to move this guy out, move it to the back, while we pull this guy in. So this would now be reduced somehow. Be careful with this framing, please, because there's a lot of frames inside and it can mess your work up. So for this guy, we just pull it out and send it out. Then for this one, then this also needs to go down, and this guy needs to come down here. Once you're done, press V. You see this guy? Copy it, come here and paste it. Now we're going to move it out of the screen. So to do that, I'm just going to bring it out so it won't enter inside here. Now select this and move it out here. Move it out completely. It's time to scale it down. So we have, I'm going to just get this out. So we have this. So what I just did now is this. Go to prototype, select this. Because we duplicated it, is actually going on the other guy. Okay, now select this one. While I drag it, on drag slow to this point, then if I drag this one, on drag slow smart animate. So we're going to actually be giving enough gaps because of the prototype. So now it's time to start from scratch. We just preview this, and when we click this, this comes in, and we click on this. Remember, when we click on this, this one comes in, but it comes in there's a way it comes in. So when you click on this, we didn't link it to this one. On top, we're going to say smart animate, but it's going to be 300. That's slow, but not smart animate. We're going to say move in. Now we're going to use this. We're going to leave this out for now. So I'm just going to say 300. So now look at what I want to do, but it's not actually what I want to do yet. So there is something I want to do, because there's this thing that actually happens. Look at this one. When you click on it, it comes in. So look at this, the way it comes in. That is what I want to achieve. It's kind of very smooth. So now I'm going to move this guy aside. Just move it aside, then duplicate this one. So once you have this duplicated, we may need to do some work on this. So you see these three wise men, we need to pull them out completely from here, then add auto layouts on them, let it stay here. Then you can actually, so what we're going to do is to first of all select the three of them here and add auto layouts, then set it like this. Let's see. Okay, So no, that would work. It would not work. So I'll just do the initial stuff that I did initially. So for this one, now what you're going to do is to unclip this. Look at it here. So for this guy, I'm going to move it further away, far away. Then the same thing with this one, far away. Then this guy stays here. I don't want them to come in at the same time. So for this guy, what I'm going to do now is to scale it down and put it somewhere here. Then just blanket. So once that is done, we can now clip and bring it here. So what you're trying to do now is to say, when I click on this guy, do the usual stuff, then after delay of 1 millisecond, this should come slowly for 750, and it should smart animate. Just use 800. So once you're done, just close this. So now look at what will happen if I select this and click this. You see it the way it came in. That was what I was just trying to achieve. I'm going to do it again and click on this. So this kind of did not animate. Let's find out what could be the problem. Yeah, because I think we actually made it, we hit it completely. So I'm just going to bring this here, set it here, and instead of using this, I'm just going to set this to 0. So now look at what is going to happen. You see it. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. So once you're done with that, we can now position this very well. So anyone you're done with, just make sure to push it well. Now we've actually done this one. Then if you scroll up, you see how smoothly it kind of moves. Then this one, if I pull it down, now there's a problem. This is not the behavior. So this guy, we should know, you see it's going to this one, it should go to this one, because we actually did it before we did the screen. So the next thing we're going to do is to pull this down, and this goes up. So that's actually how I animated this. You can also follow that pattern to work on the rest of the screen, but I'm going to do one more screen so you also understand how the flow goes. So the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate this one. So for this, I'm going to select all of this and scale it down a bit. Yep. So once I have it like this, you see this last guy, I'm going to move it out. So which one are we going to have? We're going to have this one, and we need this. I'll stick it here and also stick it here. So now select these two, and I'm going to use frame selection. Select this and frame selection. So now that you've framed selection, I'm going to move this up. So this, I actually hate clustered stuff. So I'm going to pull this one up here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate this one and select everything here and scale. This should also go off the screen. Then this guy should come in. So now that we have this laid out, see this guy, copy this one, come here and paste it. Now move it off the screen. You can scale it down. See this one, copy it, come here and paste. Then it's time to do the same thing. Scale it down and make sure it's off the screen. I would rather move out of the screen than scale down so it won't enter inside this frame. Please be mindful of this, because if you do that, you will not get the smooth transitions you need, because I've seen a lot of folks coming to my DM to ask me some of these questions. It's just because you move things around, you're in a haste. Design requires patience, so you need to actually slow down. There's some certain things you have to be mindful of, because if this enters into this frame, you're not going to have that smooth movement. You just have to move it and scale, not scale and move, because if you scale it and move, you might end up moving it inside this frame, and when you use Smart Animate, it's not going to work. So now we're going to go back to our prototype. So when we drag this one on drag, slow 800, then this also on drag, slow 800. Are we using after delay? Just say on drag, sorry, on drag. Yeah, so this also on drag, slow 800, then the same thing with this one on drag, slow 800. So now let's preview from the beginning. So once we have this, click, and this comes in, and we now click on make shake. All these ones comes in. Now we move and we move and we move, and that's the last one. So that's it. So we'll move this one out, and this one comes in. So the next thing we're going to do is to actually work on this title, because it wasn't really moving, and this price. So this price was kind of static. The next thing I'm going to do is to, on this part, this one, I'm going to remove auto layout. Remove the auto layout, hit enter, and move it up. So you should be careful how you move. 6. Then this one, remove auto layout, hit enter, and move gradually. Then this one, remove auto layout and move, hit enter and move. So we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to remove auto layout. So we start from this part. So here, remove auto layout, hit enter and move. So for this, you may need to open this up to this very point. Then do the same thing here, remove auto layout, hit enter and move till you get to the sorted. Now open this up to this very point. Then do the same thing, remove auto layout, hit enter, so we're going to get it to the banana and we'll leave it here. So what we're going to do now is to find the next one that is close to it. This one, the next one that is close to it. Look at what we're going to do. I'm just going to move it up. This is how I'm going to trace it. Look at the next one. Look at this first one. Look at the next one. So for this next one, I'm going to scale it down to this very point. So for this one, I'm going to find the next one next to it. I think the next one to it is okay, yeah, this is it. So scale this one down. I think this one we didn't scale the right one. Okay, yeah, we did actually. So for this one, Yeah, this is the next one for this. Scale it down. Then this guy, which one is the next? So this is the next, so scale it down. So that is when you're going to have this movement. So when you click, it comes up, then you come up, and that's it. So when you scroll up, you see it. So you see the way it actually comes in. And let's make sure we are previewing with iPhone 14 Pro Max, because I think there's this movement. So we can actually go to prototype, go to show prototype setting. So we are previewing with iPhone 14 Plus. You just set it to 14 Pro Max so that this will no longer I think this is also still moving. Go to this and we can actually set it to 15 Pro Max. Yeah, so it's no longer moving. So when you click on continue, and we have this stuff is no longer moving, and everything is properly set up now, we can actually do this, and this goes, and this goes. So that's just pretty much how that was designed in Figma. And I'm going to see you on the part 2 of this video. Please make sure to subscribe, and I'll be sure to send some content like this your way. I'm going to do the part 2, which is this burger stuff, then we can wrap it up for the full prototype. I'm going to see you on my next video. Bye for now.